Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's Arif Khan here once again with Islam Media and welcoming you guys to week number 3 preview of our podcast. As usual, we have our usual suspects here who are going to be joining us. But I thought we'd do it a little bit more, I don't know, in a fun way. But anyways, doesn't matter. We'll just add them in one at a time. To do that, we should have a little bit of a song for them here. Hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, hailing from Mississauga, Ontario, standing 5'7", 164 pounds, soaking wet, Imad Hossein.
Hello, guys.
What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Good. I would do Hanan's one as well, but I didn't get his measurements, so I'll just say, welcome, Hanan.
Should we just guess?
Yeah, I'm putting on a little holiday weight. I'd mind if you guys didn't guess.
205. No, I'm kidding. I'll go with 185.
6 foot tall, actually. Although my wife doesn't believe me, and neither do any of my Tinder matches. But
all right, boys.
Your teammates the way you play.
All right, guys. So this week we had all of the teams pretty much played, right? So we have a pretty busy schedule in terms of what we need to cover today. As usual, we're going to review week 2 post-game reviews, look at the stars, the player of the week, some league announcements, and try to do week 3 preview. All of this in 30 seconds, or 30 seconds, what I'm saying, 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So bear with us here, folks. All right, guys. So the first, was this the first game? Yeah, the first game of the night was green versus black. So
Iklas
this,
versus taqwa,
yeah, Iklas versus taqwa. So this one ended in a 3-1 win for green, but there was more to this.
Yeah, well, let's just say that the outcome wasn't necessarily a surprise to me. Seeing how these teams performed in exhibition and then also in the first week of the season. Taqwa has had some attendance issues and for various reasons, injuries and whatnot. And some key guys were missing. Whereas Iklas has been lights out. I mean, even in exhibition, some of their guys, their GM core is just unbelievable. They're top 5, actually, I should say. They play so well together. They have a lot of chemistry and familiarity over the years. So I think that really helped them out of the gate get to a really strong start to the season. And it was quite evident during the game. I think that the shot clock was at 20-13 for Iklas. And Zed Manju really bailed his team out. Even though they didn't get the win, it could have been much worse if Zed didn't stand on his head.
Yeah, looking at this on my own end, and I kind of watched the last half of this game. I honestly want to give a shout out to Zaid just because I've seen a lot of cross ring passes that he just stopped that would have been easy one-timers in for Iklas's Razi, who's just standing there being constantly fed by Hamza. But one big name that I'd like to see is Farouk Khan. Now this is a multi-point game for him, so he's stepping up for Iklas as well, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to just see the production from the GMs and your first and second pick. You want to see it down the roster. So it's always great seeing, Farouk Khan, Abdur Rahman Butter get themselves on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and of note, so Sajid Yubi wasn't there, and neither was, I think, Sakib Koker that I can see. Salman Azmat also was not there. But then you had Taqwa, who's missing the other Farouk Khan, who has yet to make an appearance this season. Art Bijabai was not there. I don't believe EBP was there. They were extremely shorthanded. Bilal Hafiz wasn't there off the top of my head. So that's going to really kill you, especially when you're early in the season and you're trying to gel with your team and you don't have everyone there. It's going to take a little while for them. And going down 0-2 in interdivisional play to start the season, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I missed the first part of this game, but when I stepped in, I actually saw Adil Chauhan in the parking lot, and he was like, yeah, we were missing players. He had to play pretty much most of the game. I don't think he minds. He's got the stamina for it, but nonetheless, it's tough to play a team like Sajid's team without your top guys all in the game.
Taqwa was visibly frustrated at the end of the game, understandably so.
Yeah. The second game of the night was Iman versus Riddha. So this is orange versus blue, and this was your team, Hanan.
Yeah, this was another frustrating game for Riddha, where they just could not find the back of the net, and a lot of it's just due to the fact that and this is not just me saying it, but from everyone here across the rink, is that no one on Riddha is shooting it. Now they had the advantage where Iman showed up late. I think at the start of the game they only had two guys on the bench. By the end of it, I think Riddha still had three additional players than Iman. But no excuses. You have a team that's shorthanded. You got to take advantage of it. And the problem with Riddha is that they see a team that's shorthanded, they start getting fancy, and the problem is that most teams, and you see it with Iklas, you see it with taqwa, they play tic tac toe, and you just shoot in the net. But when you see Riddha on the offensive, you see knick knack paddywhack, give a dog a bone, but the dog doesn't even get the bone. So like, what's going on? Like what's going on? Like there's nothing happening to this team, and it's like the first line goes off saying, hey, like we should shoot it more in the net. And then the first line goes back on, and then the second line's like, "Hey, that line needs to shoot it more on the net." And it's like everyone's pointing at each other, but no one's pointing at themselves.
Well, looking at the shot clock, the shots were actually 25-13 for Riddha in that game. So it just comes down to where those shots were coming from and whether they're high danger shots. I don't think Nadir Ahmed in net was to blame for the result of this game. I think he held his own for this team. Hanan, I'm sure you're going to support your goalie. But in the end, it comes down to, take shots, but then also getting some of those high danger shots. There you go, Ibrahim. Habibi. So it's interesting. And then, like you said, Riddha could have definitely taken advantage of Iman here without Yusuf Soliman there. Usama Soliman showed up late. Waqar Khan wasn't there for the first couple minutes. You had Jihad who wasn't there. So that's their four top guys, the three GMs and the first round pick who were not there to start the game. And yet they didn't come out on top.
Well, I also got to give a shout out to the young guys on Iman. Khalid was Ahmed Khalid, right? He's playing really, really at the top of his game right now. Playing with Waqar on that same line. There's Tayyab as well, and even Zaid. He's a big kid, and he's moving well out there. He's got a big heart, and he's playing really well. And even the veterans like with Sani and Ali Murtaza, Wasim Kaksi, they're all pitching in. So even if they're missing their GMs, they've got good supporting cast to pick up the slack.
Oh yeah, it's completely evident given the result of the game. And big shout out to Zahid Hussain. I think he's the third and final Hussain brother who finally made his league debut. And he scored the game's opening goal, and I believe it was from the point too. So kudos to him.
Both brothers, I believe Riaz scored for Taqwa earlier as well. So definitely Omar Hussain looking down from London, UK, and definitely giving the nod to his brothers.
Yeah. What's I gotta say, what's all the trash talk about my jersey? I thought you guys would be happy that I'm not wearing a Habs jersey today.
Maybe not the most opportune time to wear it with given the holiday tomorrow.
Well, for those who care, a lot of people, everybody knows that I'm a diehard Habs fan, but what a lot of people don't know is one of my favorite players growing up was Denis Savard. So I've always also been a bit of a Chicago supporter just for him.
Well, one last shout out I want to give actually is Ali Murtaza and Iman in general did incredibly well on the face-off circle. And, if you're going to be shorthanded, that's what you're going to want to have. You're going to want to have centers that win those draw for you, because that's going to make the difference between, you being exhausted during that shift or you having that little bit of energy to still hold your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so moving on to the third game of the night. We had Haya and Riddha. And guys, this felt like a playoff game.
Haya and Essan, sorry,
Haya and Essan. I'm sorry, Haya and Essan. They were just going at it.
Yeah, the intensity level of this game was on another level, and you can see it also where there's still a little bit of need to get your cardio in, just because a lot of people are taking unnecessary penalties. I think there was 3 different tripping penalties. There was 2 different body checking penalties. Things that it's just about cleaning up your game and just having that that extra oomph to make sure that you're not doing sloppy stuff like that. And this was a game where, although it was scoreless, it was entertaining because it was back and forth. There was a lot of chances, and shout out to both goalies. Fahad Muhammad, who was in net for Haya, filling in for Yusuf Kapoor, and then for Essan, it was Imran Alvi. Both of them did an incredible job, and I think we captured a few of the high quality saves from them. And to be honest, it was just bad. It was a bad luck. I think it was a bad bounce that happened in the goal at the last minute of the game.
I think this may be it, actually.
Last 90 seconds. Yeah, here. No, this isn't the
this
goal.
is just
No.
some regular ones, but yeah, with less than a minute left, I believe this is.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. Yeah, this is a bad draw. See, this is a perfect draw from Haya. They won it, back to the defense, and boom, bounce over the stick.
So
and defense. Sorry, one last thing. At center, that's where the center comes to play. This is where if you're not going to win it, tie up your guy, and that was Yusuf Saudagar, I believe, on center that time.
We should also mention that just before that play, let me play this again here. Just before this play started, there was a collision with Imran, and he hurt his head pretty bad. I saw him the next day during pickup, and he was like, "Yeah, my head was hurting. He had a headache all night." I think when one, don't collide into your goalies, and two, if that happens, I think goalie should be giving a little bit more time to really heal up a little bit. I know we're rushed for time, but yeah, it's a tough position for them to be in. So literally after that hit, puts his helmet on, this face-off happens, and the rest is history.
Yeah, just as we see this going, having played in the game, I completely agree. It was a very, very close game. Every shift, you kind of had to be on it, or you'd be on the wrong end of a scoring chance. Tons of penalties. It really took a while to get some momentum for either team, especially in the first period. Special teams were key, and like you said, RF, it was definitely like a fluke play where Imran got hit in the head by his own player. He's trying to rush back and defend, and he just squeezed in between where the ball was where the other team was, and then also where Imran was, and tried to squeeze in, and his leg hit Imran. And I think Imran also, he self-admittedly rushed going back, being ready to declaring himself ready to play. So
just look at this sequence here, right? I mean, watch who gets knocked out in front. That's Imad. He's a big guy, and Saudagar's there too. So this was a full-on playoff match, boys.
Everyone was playing at 110%. It was it was a fun game to play in. It was just unfortunate that we were on the wrong end. And I now realize that I'm wearing the wrong color shirt for tonight.
Yeah, right. I think we have a clip of Salman Khalid after the game. Let's see if I can push it through here.
First star of the game between Haya and Essan. Salman, how did the game go for you?
It was a little sloppy for me personally. At the start, a lot of turnovers. I gave them really point-blank chances, but Fahad bailed us out, our goalie, a bunch of times. Overall, the game was very even. They had a bunch of power plays. We had a bunch of power plays. Honestly, it was a very even game. If the game ended in a tie, I don't think I would have been disappointed. We're happy that we got a win, but yeah, pretty even game. There's not much between us. So.
Yeah, and don't worry, he didn't rate them as a 4.
Definitely a high caliber game, and I'm happy to see the win from Haya, just because they were a little bit looking under the weather last week, so definitely a big step up, especially against Essan, which looked incredible in their first game.
Just another sign that was like a hard-fought playoff game. Like, this is one of the bruises I came away from in the game. Ouch. And the guy who gave it to me is actually commenting right now, so I won't call him out, but he probably knows who he is.
Why aren't you going to call him out? Come on, you have the mic. Say it.
Oh, well, his comment is on the screen right now, so there you go.
This guy here?
Yeah, that guy.
You know who you are.
Those who know, who know.
If you know, you know. All right. Oops.
They took you to driving school and just hit you with the car.
Let's hope not.
All right. So moving on to the last game of the night, Sever versus Jaquin.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were impressed the way Jaquin came out of this game. They scored first. I know a lot of people in the background saying, Sever's in a steamroll, but no, not at all. And Jaquin kind of proved that they do have depth. They had a lot of scoring chances. Azur Zafar with the constant wraparound that I did see, which just short of scoring in itself. And honestly, fantastic play from the Jaquin GMs, Abdul Rahman Mandra, Kazi, and Huzaifa. Like, they did a really good job. And honestly, I like Jaquin's defensive line. Khalid Bugle, oh my God, underrated. Definitely can hold the line and has an amazing shot. And I think they're going to rely heavily on him to get that back end, power into their score. Well, at least get onto the scoreboard, so to speak. Whereas, Iman, I'll let you talk about Sever a little bit, just because where do you start with them?
Well, I think they've had key guys missing, and when I say key guys, maybe some GMs and top picks missing the last couple of games or the first 2 games of the season. But guys in second, third line, just like you said, stepping up. I mean, Faisal Mahbub leading the league or tied for leading the league in scoring. He had a beautiful, dirty goal that he scored, and he just kept going at it until it went in. It's great. There you go.
Look at him go.
Never stopped.
He's focused on it. He knows where the ball is, and there you go. He gets rewarded. So it's definitely everyone on the team who's contributing. You see Omar Bakshi's coming in. He's playing hard. He's playing on the body. He had a couple actually good chances. I think maybe one where he should have probably passed instead of shooting.
No,
but
actually, here's another one for sorry, I kept interrupting you, but I just want to tag it in the right spots here.
This was a good play. Yeah,
Bakshi almost scored in this one.
Yeah, and this was a nice feed from behind the net. I believe it was a back pass, and you'll see it where everyone has eyes on the guy with the ball. Everyone has eyes across the rink, but nobody has eyes on Book. And look at this perfect feed, but so close yet so far. But one day,
yeah. And that's a fantastic feed by Hamza as well, right?
And just to give a little bit more emphasis, Faisal is playing incredible these last 2 games. Multi-point games, and I believe Arif, you played with on his line as well, being on the centerman. So both yourself, Faisal, and Khalil have been pretty untouchable. I mean, we don't need to talk about whatever it was. Who was Subur's key player last week? Was it Awesome. Yeah. Sorry. I mean, outside of Awesome, like you could just see like the depth in Subber, and that's what you want to see. That's what's going to take you all the way to the finals is depth. And Subber looks like they're relying heavily on their depth. I mean, it might be the fact that GMs are not there, but people are stepping up and they're being rewarded for it.
Well, I have to say that even though Faisal and myself, Khalid, we've been playing well, we've been getting the points, but a lot of it comes from the fact that guys like Asim and Hamza are playing so well. Like many of the plays, Hamza starts it from his own end and pushes it forward, and then we happen to get a couple of passes, so we get on the score sheet. But it's really our GMs are really stepping up as well, the ones that show up.
For sure, and it's really evident that they're not afraid to put really anyone out there at any time, and they're mixing up the lines and things like that, and just giving everyone an opportunity to contribute, and they are.
Absolutely. All right. So moving on to the player of the week is none other than Mr. Razi Ahmed with 2 goals and 1 assist. I think he came a bit late to the game, just got right in, scored a bunch of goals, went, changed, got ready for a wedding, not his, I assume. And then just, like nothing happened. Meanwhile, he just collects 3 points and walks away with the One World Halal Player of the Week honors.
And if everyone remembers, when we first began the season in the draft, everyone was projecting Razi to go 2nd overall, and he fell pretty deep. I think 4th overall was where he went. 5th overall. So week 2, One World Halal Player of the Week. It just shows you that a lot of people missed out on Razi, and he's producing.
So far, I think he's probably been the most productive or valuable first-round pick this season. Granted, it's only two weeks, but. Playing really well. But yeah, Arif, like you said, he was effective for the time that he was there. Like you said, he showed up late, yet he didn't play the whole game. He still got Player of the Week. Someone was actually, I won't name them, but I try not to name people. But I was standing there watching the game, and someone was getting ready for the next game, and they're saying, "Oh man, Razi, he's not consistent. He doesn't do that." And bam, I don't know if he could. There's no way he could have heard that, but he scored right there. So.
That's the thing with Green is the fact that their GMs overshadow all the headlines, right? With Sajid and Yusuf and Hamza, and then you forget a guy like Razi, who is an exceptional player. So it's crazy to see that lineup and just forget about him, which you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, and I think the rest of the lineup really feeds off of that, and off that kind of pedigree of player at the top of the lineup.
Mhm.
You see guys like Zayn and Samad who are just like rushing down the wing, either on a forecheck or for to dump the ball or something like that. But you don't necessarily see these guys play this way, and they are, which is great for them. They're getting an opportunity to perform and really play with some high school players.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Moving on to some league announcements. Just some quick notes here. So, as of this week, make sure you're entering from the front door, main doors. And you got to show your proof of vaccination. You have to make sure that you clear your COVID form before 3 p.m. on Friday, Khalil. And, so yeah, have all that stuff ready. Have an ID ready because you could be asked for it. You have to have at least 14 days since your second dose. So, if you just got it the day before, don't expect to be getting in. And again, this is not the league. This is government rules. This is the venue actually enforcing them. So, we can't really do anything if you're not following these rules. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and a big thank you to everyone who came out last week. It was a very smooth transition to the verification of vaccination status and ID check and everything like that. So it really made things easy for a lot of people to come in. So thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So continue to do the desk sign-ins when you come in, and continue to do the COVID assessment tests, or not tests, but the assessment that you have to fill in by Friday, basically.
Yeah, and just to clarify, there's actually going to be 2 check-in desks. So there's going to be one check-in desk right at the front door where the representative for the facility will check your vaccination status, and then just like you would pre-COVID, come to the rink and there's a desk there to sign in with your jersey and jersey number and just get checked off before changing.
Cool. All right, so let's move on to the games of this week. What do we have? So first one we have of the evening will be Sever versus Riddha.
So I believe that's the top team in that division versus the bottom team in that division. So this is a make it or break it for Riddha. They this is their way of seeing how they actually are. Are they a competitive team? And to see how they do. They don't have to win against Suburb, but we need to see an actual game. We need to see some progress. We need to see improvement. So right now, to be honest, given that I'm assuming everyone's going to show up for both of these games, obviously my money is going to unfortunately be on Suburb. And I play for Riddha, and I know everyone's. I know Ali is looking at me, messaging me on WhatsApp right now. It's like, if I'm a betting man, I have to bet for the team I think is going to win, and I'm going to play my 110%. But it's everyone else for us LV that I'm looking for to play 110%.
I just heard I just heard the rest of your bench.
He's definitely getting traded now.
Yeah.
He really wants to be traded.
Just wait till the roster.
I love playing with Aluwadi. I will never ask to be traded. But I'm telling you right now, we have to step up as a team.
We talked a fair bit about Summer when we were doing the recap from last week and how everyone on that team is performing. But it's kind of the opposite on Riddha, where you really need the top guys to do more. And whether that's been attendance or what have you. But, you're looking at guys like Wasim Oda, who I think he missed the first game, but he was there last week. Usman Batar hasn't been able to play the last couple of weeks, and I'm not sure if he's actually going to be available this week either. Frazolvi needs to produce, and you guys got like Zahir Fancy, Zaid Khaler, Emre Wasif. Everyone needs to contribute at this point, and I think that needs to be the message for the team and the bench. And we'll see. It's tough to concentrate with all these comments coming in, but everyone likes to hate on Hanan.
You know what? I'll throw you guys a cookie here. You guys actually have a very good chance of beating us this week because we're going to have quite a few people missing because our GMs will actually be in Saskatoon playing in the Nationals. So, congratulations for them that they made it that far. But it sucks for our team because we're going to have our 3 GMs missing. I'm actually not there. There's a couple other guys. So you're going to play our second and third line pretty much the whole game. And we're missing our goalie too, by the way.
We did that against Iman, and the score speaks for itself. So, I mean, we're hoping for a better game, and I think we are constantly improving. And I think Omar Sawi said it earlier. We haven't seen teams at their full threat. We're still trying to learn each other in the way we play. So I still think what we see as of these for earlier weeks is not going to be the same teams we see in weeks 7, 8, 9, 10.
I'd agree with Isawi's comment there about getting Frazolvi back on defense. I know he doesn't like to play there too much, and RF wants to move on to the next game, so I'll stop talking.
Yeah. So this horn.
It's not loud enough. There we go.
There. All right. So move on to the next one, which is going to be Haya versus Taqwa. So we'll go with you, Iman, since I cut you off there.
That's okay. Sorry, I kept rambling. So this is going to be a put up or a shut up game for Taqwa, or a last chance game, I would say, this early in the season. With the threat of going down 0-3 to start the season, I know all teams make the playoffs, but and it's early to talk about the playoffs in week 3. But if you're a bottom seed going into the playoffs, you're at a fair disadvantage. So they really need to get at least a point here to keep pace with the other teams. Haya's, they have probably another backup goalie this week, as their goalie is getting prepped to get back, return in a couple of weeks. So they already used Fahad last week, so it'll be interesting to see who they get this week. But at some point, that well is going to run dry in terms of quality goalies as replacements.
Apparently, Fahad, he's shown up to a few games, and I looked at the stats. He has 2 shutouts. He hasn't been scored on. That
one shutout and
one shutout, and yeah.
Mm.
He played for Essan in week 1, and there was one goal that went in off my stick, so it's really my fault he didn't get the shutout.
No surprise.
And Al-Chuan got a credit for a goal.
You made a reference about the standings are important. Do you want to remind everyone how that works in terms of what benefit do you get by being first? Because the common belief is, well, everyone makes the playoffs, so it doesn't, the regular season doesn't matter, but it does.
Yeah, totally. So 4 teams per division, everyone makes the playoffs. The first seed plays the 4th seed, and the 2nd seed plays the 3rd seed. But the one advantage that the 1st and 2nd seed have is it's a 2-game series. So, and the top 2 seeds start off with a 1-game lead. So what that means is if you're the 3rd or 4th seed, you actually have to win the game outright. So a tie doesn't even work. So you have to win the playoff game, and then you have to win again in overtime to be able to advance to the next round. So it's extremely difficult to do. Not to say that it's impossible, but it's difficult. So it matters, even if everyone makes the playoffs.
No, good point. Okay, what do we have on the next one? Just throw it up here. So Iklas versus Essan. Hanan, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so Iklas has been red hot, which is ironic because they're facing the red hot Essan colored jersey team. So right now, Iklas has been firing on all cylinders. They've, first line, second line, even the third line's been stepping up for these guys. But production-wise, I've seen a lot from the first and second line. Essan, they had a rough game last week against, was it Haya? So I think for them, it really depends on attendance as well. I think they've been missing a few guys. But I'm going to have to give the edge to Iklas here. Just, they've been on fire, and I don't think they're going to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Hanan on all points there, except for calling out who the winner is going to be. I think we still play very hard, and as by example last week, we're going to have a few more guys than we did last week. A couple of guys switching in and out, I'm sure, just like every team. But the one thing that I've seen of this team the last couple of weeks is that everyone, when they show up, they come to play 110%. So no regrets at that point. That's all you can hope for and ask of everyone. So we're going to want to replicate that. A strong forecheck, good back check, just all the basics, right? And the good stuff will come. Is going to be key to contain some of those top guys on Iklas, especially their top 5. And we'll see how that plays out.
Yep. And the last game of the night will be Jaquin versus Iman.
So this is going to be an interesting matchup. I think Jaquin has shown flashes of performing really well, and then Iman, of course, they came out with a good win last week, a strong win last week over Riddha. Now, it depends on attendance issues and stuff. We know it didn't matter to Iman last week on whether all of their GMs showed up or whether they showed up on time. The Solomons are on there, so we always know that they're probably going to be showing up right before the game starts or right after and getting changed on the bench. It's true. It's a fact. Fact check me. But and then the other thing too is that Emma Khalid, he's looked, he's been injured. He was hurt in the first game, and he looked like he was. I mean, he still had an amazing game last week, but you still see that he's kind of hurting from that a little bit. So the hope is that he's fully recovered and is able to play. Sani's been a little quiet on the score sheet, if I recall. Don't quote me on that, but I think he can definitely help his team succeed. Whereas on Jaquin, I think they have the tools to be able to be successful. I think it's just a matter of getting back into the groove of playing and getting everyone involved. I think there are a couple guys on there who haven't even shown up yet. So Osama Rao, I think, hasn't shown up for either of the first two games. Mohsen Mehboob hasn't shown up for either of the first two games. So you want those guys to show up because they really provide some energy to that team and a rest for the rest of the group.
Yeah. Anand, thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is going to be. I actually think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think we've seen it from Jaquin. Their top line is all about that firepower, and I think we're going to see same thing from Iman. Is that it's going to be a lot of firepower. So I'm expecting a lot of work for the defense and the goalies for these games. Jaquin's fortunate that they have Badger, the first overall goalie pick. But I wouldn't put anything against Khalid Mufti from Iman's goalie side. He's been incredible in net thus far. And, he stopped 24 out of 25 shots last week, and their team was down players. So, I mean, he stepped up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the rest of that team step up.
I'm calling for an Iman win here.
I'm actually going to go with Jaquin winning.
I think we're going to have to cut him from the podcast soon. It's bad for our ratings.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, it looks like we've come to the end of our episode. We've covered, guys, we did pretty good. We're almost below 30 minutes. And we always try to stay under 30. 35, it's not too bad. Any last minute thoughts before we sign off?
Honestly, the main thing I just want to reiterate is that these games do matter because, as Iman mentioned, when it comes to the playoffs, your team, if it's top 1 and 2 in your division, you're getting that additional W under your belt where the other team has to tie or win in order to make it go to the third round. So I mean, yeah, as much as everyone makes the playoffs, step up now, I'd say.
All right, gentlemen.
Agreed.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And until, I guess, Friday, and until next week, we'll see you again.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh, guys, take care.
You can dance to that if you want.
I can't. I got to conserve energy. It's gonna be a lot of effort sitting on the bench after what Ali reads on this podcast.
You're gonna get traded, buddy.
No,
See you guys.
No. It's all good fun.
Skates at night, the home team trails behind, but they grab the puck and go.
I say that now, then Ali.
They're down